Hello, everyone. Hope you guys are doing amazing. And I wanted to say thank you to those of you that are here today. And if you're here live, write hashtag live. If you're here on replay, write hashtag replay. And I wanted to just say welcome. Welcome. Thank you for being here. And my intention is to create a safe place for you to just show up for yourself. And for you to show up just to be you. And my intention is to share stories of my life, clients' life, to just talk about what it looks like to be fully empowered. Hey, Emil, nice to have you. Nice to have you. And I'm going to drop a registration link here at the end of talking, just so you can jump on the registration link and just I can see your chat comments and all of that stuff. Okay. So what I want to talk about today is the power of acceptance. And one of the biggest things that I hear my clients talk about every single day, and this is probably the biggest source of support for my clients, is when they, and I would say we, because we all do it, including yours truly, shit on ourselves. And we almost make that relationship with ourselves conditional. And I'm realizing more and more, I think every one of us wants more confidence. Every one of us wants more abundance. Every one of us wants empowerment. You wouldn't be in this group if you didn't want one of those things. And the truth is that everything outside of us is a reflection of what is inside of us. And more importantly, my relationship with myself dictates my relationship with the world that I live in. I literally got off a client call just a few minutes ago, and he was in a state of despair and a state of depression, a state of grief. And literally he has family members in another part of the world going through severe health challenges. And this man, we've been working together since July. Within the first 30 days of being in his business, he quit his W-2 that he had been holding on to for years. He was able to find that confidence within himself to step into full-time entrepreneurship. And literally within 2 to 3 months after taking that leap of faith, this family member's health went down, to say the least. And he and his wife decided to go and be there for this family member. And literally experiencing the last 2.5 months where grief is right there in front of them. Where having that yo-yo of, is this family member going to be alive, not going to be alive? Literally evoking all of their fears of death and dying right there in front of them. And to be overseas, being able to manage a business is a lot. And he has been doing it. And now he's judging himself and shitting on himself, going, I shouldn't be depressed. I feel depressed. And knowing what I know about my client, he literally went through 2 episodes of family members dying during COVID. So what is the lesson here? And what do you think I told him? And he said, I felt so great, Karishma, 3 months ago when everything was taking off in the business. I was feeling confident. I was feeling empowered. I was doing all the things. I was on my A game. I was motivated. And now when I'm feeling like I'm semi-depressed, I feel like crap. And I don't like how I feel. And I got to know that I got to tell him, it's okay. It's okay. And what I shared, I believe even like in one of the lives in this group, even a couple of weeks ago, is I talked about the hues of a rainbow. We are all a beautiful rainbow. But every one of the rainbow hues, if you have all the colors of the rainbow, it's not a beautiful isolated red or a blue or a violet or an indigo or a yellow or an orange. It's all the hues in between all the colors to make that beautiful rainbow the rainbow. But why is it that we only accept the part of us that feels good? Why is it we only accept the part of us that feels okay? If we don't accept that it is okay to feel sad, if you're literally experiencing grief for the third time in your family, it's safe to say you'd have some level of grief inside of you. But why is it not okay to feel depressed or have grief or fear or stress, but it's okay to feel joyful and blissful? And most of us spend our entire lives avoiding what is right there in front of us that we need to feel. And we tell ourselves, hey, you know what? I'm going to surround myself and listen to one more inspirational piece of whatever to feel better. But that's avoiding ourselves. Do you all see that? Most of us would rather do anything, maybe binge ice cream and Netflix and Facebook and multitude of apps, but to be with ourselves and really just feel the sadness that's inside of us. And nobody is exempt from feeling those feelings. Every one of us signed up for the human package. And yet we tell ourselves it's not okay. It's not okay to feel sad. It's not okay to feel grief. It's not okay to feel fear. And we should all over ourselves the second we feel any of those emotions. And what happens more and more is that love for ourselves becomes conditional. And I'm here to tell you it's time to step into what unconditional love looks like for you. Because in this client's case, and it breaks my heart because he's amazing. He's an incredible leader. He's nothing short of amazing. And literally two of his team members, after he quit, quit their W-2s and they're like, we're going all in on the business because we see you doing it. And that's how much you've inspired us. And he doesn't see the miracle that he is, the leader that he is. He's shitting on himself because he has had a crappy couple of months. And that's what conditional love looks like, my friends. And we're all doing it to ourselves. The second we say, I need to be this to be okay, and I don't need to be that, that's what happens. And a lot of this prosperity, abundance, confidence that my clients experience in being who they really are, the authentic part of themselves happens when we start giving ourselves a lot of compassion, a lot of grace, and it starts with the power of acceptance. Acceptance for how we are, who we are. We cannot get to the other side unless we accept all of ourselves. I shared about my divorce journey in this group. And when I went through my divorce, and I was a multi-six-figure coach before I filed for separation. And between the 7 months that my separation was filed and my divorce was finalized, I barely made sales. I barely made sales because a relationship with the outside world is reflected. Our relationship with our inside world creates our relationship with our outside world. And, during that time when I was going through the grief, I was going through the sorrow, I was going through all the normal emotions that are associated with any divorce, any separation, any dissolution of marriage, there were a million different things that were going on in that time in my life. And I didn't have the clarity. I didn't have the focus. I didn't have the confidence. For the first time in my life, in 17 years, I was figuring out who is Karishma outside of those big labels. And what it meant to be one of those labels. And what it meant about me to let go of the label. And one of the most beautiful gifts that came as a result of almost giving myself a break, a breather from doing sales for almost 5 to 6 months. And it was one of the scariest periods of my life. I was like, oh my God, money isn't coming in. And somehow God had me. He took care of me. And I kept showing up. I kept serving the clients that I had. I kept showing up. I kept doing marketing. I didn't stop doing those things that were important. But more importantly, I really spent time with me. Because the safety and security that we're seeking from the outside has nothing to do with what's on the outside. It has everything to do with what's inside of us. If I don't feel safe to feel sad, if I don't feel safe to have fear, if I don't feel safe to have a shitty day, How can I expect anybody outside of me to make me feel safe? And one of the most beautiful things that happened to me, for me, I should say, is everything that I thought was true of me has gone away. I had fears around what it looked like to be a mom without having her kids all the time. What it looked like to be a businesswoman that didn't have sales for several months at a time. I'm literally in the transition of massive changes in my business. I changed success coach to freedom coach because I'm like, this is who I am. This is more reflective of me. And my business model is completely changing. But if I don't have me, you all see that I don't have anything. That means I'm looking to some outside metric to define who I am and what my worth is. And one of the biggest gifts that's come from my divorce and everything that's come from it has been being okay with all of it and all of me. And for this client who's literally in the process of, oh my God, what's happening in my life? My business isn't doing the same. I'm not able to show, for my clients the same. My partner's the same way. I told him the honest truth, and I'm going to tell every one of you the same thing. You got to be there for you first. Because depression, anxiety, we all have had some flavor of depression or anxiety. If we don't allow ourselves to feel the small flavors or levels or whatever you want to call it, of depression, of fear, of anxiety, guess what happens? What we resist persists. And before we know it, it becomes full-fledged depression that takes over our life. It becomes rampant anxiety that takes over our being. And the more we give ourselves permission to be with our emotions, Tony Robbins says emotion is energy in motion. That emotion wants to flow. If we suppress the sadness, it becomes depression. If we suppress the anger, it becomes rage and road rage. Look at how many people are driving around like maniacs because they don't know what the hell to do with themselves. And they're on a car and they can't control how they drive and how they are. And it's like, we just have to slow down enough to be like, it's okay that I feel like this right now. Let me let it out. Let me take myself somewhere, let me park my car somewhere and just give myself a moment to just be with myself and scream my head off. Let me give myself a few minutes to go in the shower and have a really great cry. And the more that we allow ourselves to feel that and be with that, on the other side of darkness, there's light, my friends. And you're not alone. You're not alone. And I'm sharing this with you because sometimes when we're in that dark void, we feel like we're completely alone. And we're not. And it's like having that call today with me, and I'm so grateful to him. I reached out to him a few days ago. I said, where are you? Are you okay? Because I was under the impression that he was still overseas. And thank God he was able to show up. Talking to me meant showing up for himself. We talked through what it looked like for him to have the support that he needs on an emotional level, a physical level, the support that he needs to be there for his family, the support he needs there to be there for his business partners and his business. And he was under the impression, I'm all alone. I have to figure this out. You hired me for a reason. You hired me because you believe I can help you. So let me help you. And I get to help you. I want to help you. We're all here for you. But sometimes we have to get out of our own way and look at what's in front of us and be like, wow, it's here for me. Am I willing to receive it? One of the biggest pivotal things that happened in my life was that a family member that struggled with alcoholism. And it was one of the best gifts that ever happened for me. And if you've ever been in any rooms of recovery rooms, one of the biggest, they say you're as sick as your secrets. And the shame, the despair, all of that kept me from showing up for my friends. I was afraid of judgment from people that were my friends. And I didn't tell people in my life what was happening behind the scenes, what was happening in my life, because I had shame around it, because I didn't know anything about it. And going into those recovery rooms and be like, wow, like hearing other people's stories of where they were and what they were going through and learning what they knew, fast forwarded my progress into my own self-love. And within a few months, I started to realize that my life wasn't all dark. And one of the best analogies that one of my mentors gave me is sometimes we're in that state of darkness and despair. It's almost like imagining the panes of a window. And imagine a window pane or the panes of a window, and imagine every one of those window panes is clouded and dark, and all we see is shadows. And one day at a time, as you start showing up for yourself, you start getting the support that you need. And what I really provide my clients is an opportunity for them to get support that they need in their life. They have to get support. I had to get support of what I needed in my life to move through what was one of the darkest periods in my life. To realize that what was happening outside of me had nothing to do with me. And more importantly, for me to realize that I had to accept where I was in my life, how I was feeling, and get support that I needed to get out of my own way and to start living my life again. And isn't it time that we start living our life again? Because so many of us get caught up in, I need to do this, I should be this. And we're in this constant motion. We don't stop moving. We don't stop doing stuff. And we're running a million miles a minute, doing all the things, thinking those things define us. And sometimes life catches up with us. I've had overwhelm. I've had burnout. I've had depression. I've had every one of those things. And a lot of my clients have had too. But it's okay. It's okay to feel all those things. The more we allow ourselves to be there for ourselves and sometimes to get the support that we need, it means that we get to get out of that muck sooner and faster. It means that we get to learn a new way of living life sooner and faster. It means that we get to be there for ourselves in a way that we weren't before, sooner and faster. And it's time that we stop being labeled by all these things that really have nothing to do with us. What does it mean to be a failure? What does it mean to be success? Isn't that all kind of BS anyway, if you think about it? Because no matter how successful I am, I'm going to find someone else who's way more successful than me. And no matter how much of a failure I think I am, I guarantee I'm going to find someone else that's way more of a failure than me. So isn't it time that we step into our own path, our own power, and be like, this is what it means like for me to be empowered. And most of empowerment for me meant stopping to ignore what was happening in front of me. And to realize that if I was suffering on any level, I was doing it to myself. And the biggest thing I would tell any of you that's dealing with anything that's hard is accept yourself for where you are. Give yourself compassion, give yourself love, give yourself grace, get help. You're not alone. And it's okay. And I'm telling you all these things in the spirit of authenticity to let you know I may have made whatever amount of dollars in my business. And it's okay for me to have the whole spectrum of those emotions. A lot of my clients have made a shit ton of money in their businesses and they have normal emotions too. It doesn't mean that they're less than. Being vulnerable with yourself allows you to have more power within you, allows you to honor more of who you really are. And that safety and security we're seeking outside of us has to come from within us. Nobody else can give it to us. Isn't it time that we give it to ourselves? I'd love to have you just share what is the biggest takeaway from this video today. And if you're interested in potentially connecting with me and getting support, I'm going to post a game plan link call here. I'm going to be sharing some cool stuff in the next few weeks with some stuff that I've got going on, just ways to support you more. Let's give ourselves that compassion that we want, the love that we want, the grace that we want, and start creating that unconditional love within ourselves so we can truly start living life every single day on purpose. Because without that, life isn't worth living. You're not living life if you're not there for yourself. And that, my friends, is everything. Join me tomorrow, same time, same place, right here, noon Central Time. Have a beautiful afternoon. Bye.